Welcome back to What Was That? So this very blissed out state that I was in with this this guy, that there was a spiritual connection for sure, and there's something very blissful and amazing to look at yourself, feels like looking at yourself and the opposite sex, like a complete mirror, like literally feeling like, oh my God, I'm staring at myself in the opposite sex, and just trying to, understand them and learn about them. And just the whole thing is very blissed out. When I say blissed out, I mean, it's almost like being in this vacuum and nothing else is existing, even though it is technically, but we would lose track of time. I joked with him like he was a wormhole, because we absolutely were so, I don't know exactly how to put it, almost enchanted. It just was very different to experience, not something that someone experiences every day. And it was all great, and we saw all these, virtues that each of us held. And then we started to see the cracks. We started to, like looking in a 360 mirror, first you're seeing, a lot of people are going to see their reflection and they're going to admire their reflection some. But then, because you're surrounded by that, you're going, all sides, you're surrounded by a mirror, then you're going to start to see some of the less than perfect attributes and some of the flaws. And so you start to see the things that's the thing about a mirror, is it's going to show you everything. It's not going to just show you only one thing. So starting to see the cracks or fissures or the flaws from having been in such an elevated, blissed out state, is what I call the fall. By the fall, I mean that it's like all of a sudden you're back to reality of your everyday life, but it doesn't fit. Nothing seems to fit. Everything is basically now under scrutiny and investigation, and you're really looking at it as, is this something I need in my life? It causes, basically, the fall is like an existential crisis, okay? So what went up came down hard. It was a very stark contrast from the blissed out state to the state of seeing all the imperfections that, wow, I didn't realize I had so many wounds within myself that I need to start giving attention to. Some of the things that I need to fix within myself. But you still have this other person that you're interacting with, and it's a huge challenge. It does start to create a push-pull kind of thing between the two people. But it's all purposed, because the biggest part is it's to teach us that if someone triggers us or shows us something within ourselves, because that's what triggers really are, is they're showing us something within ourselves that we're not accepting. Okay, so I'm going to reveal something for everybody listening. We really are whole. We're not broken. It's our perceptions that make us feel broken. It's the beliefs that we hold. It is the things that we have brought into our lives, and the ideologies and the different, all these different things that we do that we may not realize is actually more hurting us than it is helping us. Some of the self-preservation things, like ego, or staying in a storyline and staying in fear. So it is purpose that if something sets us off or triggers us, that is absolutely not for us to look at the person or the situation that's doing that. That's our opportunity to look at ourselves and say, okay, well, I obviously have some of this within myself, and I must be rejecting or abandoning it. So let me give this some attention. And in doing that and learning to accept it and embrace it and leaning into those things that may not be the things that we're the most proud of within our personality and our characteristics and traits, brings us more into acting aligned and whole, and actually interacting with other people and in situations from more of a state of wholeness. So it is a very, very beautiful thing when you think about it. But yes, the blissed out state and then the fall was such a stark contrast, but it was needed. It taught me that in my spiritual journey that there is duality in this world. There's always going to be light and dark, good and bad. There's always going to be poles, what you'd call poles, okay? And if you know one pole, that serves you only so far. But if you learn the other pole, that can serve you even further. Because once you understand and experience what I call the gap, okay, that's the gap. The contrast between one pole and another pole. Once you've experienced both poles, then you can understand that it is a form of stasis, because life is dynamic. So it's a form of stasis, like almost like, you know, those music dials where it goes back and forth or whatnot. So it's like one pole and another pole. And so as life is happening and you're being moved and you're moving with life, that is adjusted to the right point throughout life and throughout experiences. So it was a really unique thing to see that contrast. That fall had so many wonderful, wonderful lessons in it. So what was that? Thanks for listening.